There's been a definite change in the last year. You know, I mean, there's a lot more pressure. She has succumbed to the environment. She knows who she is very strongly, and at the same time she gives in because there's this need to fit in into the norm, which we all have, right?
We do, yeah.
And so it's like, no, Anais, you know, I want you to be that gutsy, sassy girl that you are. I don't want you to cave, and at the same time, I totally get the social pressure.
Yeah, it's hard because you want to fit in. You want your friends to like you. You want to be fun, and you want people to come and trust you. And sometimes people will trust you if you look like them and do whatever they want.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, here's who I am and what I'm doing.
Right.
I still want to be your friend, but can we be different?
It definitely took me some time to get there. You know, I am like a recovering anorexic. I was in rehab for over time, about 3 months, residential 2 months. So about the last 2 years, I just completely gave in. All I cared about was the way I looked because I thought that's all that mattered since all the girls around me are like that. And if I don't have the most expensive clothes, like nobody's gonna want to hang out with me. The last 2 years have definitely been very hard for me. But I think getting away in recovery was very eye-opening because I met so many people who were going through the same thing as me, but yet like lived in a place that was completely different. And once I told them what my town was like, they were like, that's like real? I thought that was just in the movies. So I think being there definitely changed me because I saw like that wasn't what I needed to be to have friends. Like I made friends there and I was doing fine and I was recovering, and when I got home, like all my friends are very supportive, and I just realized like I don't need to give into the pressure to look the way I need to look so that people will like me. Because like my friends like me perfectly fine, and like for me, if my friends bond over going out to dinner or going out to lunch, like, then I should be able to bond with them by doing that, and I shouldn't let being the skinniest one out there affect the way that I feel about myself, because it got to the point where like I looked like a toothpick, and it looked scary, and people told me it was scary, and you told me like when you hugged me there was nothing to hug, and I realized I was like, that's not normal, and like why do people care if I look that way, if I'm like a fun friend to be around? So I think definitely the last few months I've become very more like aware of myself, and I've been doing really good. First time I ever recognized like symptoms was when I was 7, when I used to stuff all my food at dinner into my mouth and then run to the bathroom and spit it out.
7 years old?
Around there, yeah.
Wow.
We didn't think anything of it. I was a picky eater.
She was a picky eater, and she had texture issues, which I didn't learn about later that that's a thing. Like certain
Texture
foods.
sensitivity.
Yeah, certain foods she just didn't like having in her mouth, and I wanted her to eat a variety of foods, and so I was like, no, you're gonna have the veggies, no, you're gonna have this, and you have to try things. And she was literally like a little chipmunk. She would save things in her cheeks, and I didn't know it until later, and she would confess, and then she would suck the juice out of her food and then go and spit it out later.
I think the worst part started when I was in 7th grade, when I was diagnosed with like 50 food allergies.
And celiac on top of that too.
Celiac, dairy, like sugar, just everything you could think of I was allergic to. So I had to stop eating so many foods that like do keep weight on. So I started losing a lot of weight, and I got a lot of attention for it. So I really liked that I was getting attention for something, because I wasn't the type of person that would like get attention for things. I got to the point where I decided that like I like not eating these foods, because people would always tell me like, oh, you're so healthy. So I was like, oh, maybe I am very healthy. So that's when I started doing my research on food, and I just learned every single thing there was to know about gluten, dairy, sugar, and
she would read a 1,000-page book on sugar. She could give lectures on nutrition.
I did my 8th grade final project on sugar, and I thought I was just like a healthy person informing people, but like I realize now it was that, but I was also like very deep in my eating disorder, that I just thought that's all that like mattered, was that like if you're eating this, to the point where I was telling people what not to eat and what to eat, but I wasn't eating any of it. That it just,
because you didn't want to eat anything, because you just want to be skinny.
And
well, she was also hiding a scale in her room, which I didn't know, and she would make sure that she did not go anywhere near 100 pounds. Like she had to stay under 100 pounds.
Wow.
It it got to the point where like my stomach had grown so small that eating like a few nuts, I would get so full and I would bloat so bad, and then I'd be like, oh, like I bloated, now I shouldn't do this again. And also, I know that it's not just like me, for most people with eating disorders, like the feeling of starvation, it's like the control feeling, and especially where I grow up, all the girls are so stereotyped, and like you want to feel power and you want to feel control, so that was like the little control I felt in my life, so it's all I wanted to feel, because I was like, I said no to this, so I have power, because I know that I'm like beating an addiction that I had, which was eating. It just got to the point where like I thought what I was doing was good because I was like standing up and I was taking control and I looked good, and after a while I wanted to change, but your mind gets so deep in the idea of like, this is just the way it needs to be. In rehab we considered it, we would write it as dialogue, like your eating disorder is separate than you, so like you guys fight against each other. So after a while I realized that like it had taken control of me. I thought I was in control of it, but it was in control of me. I had a scary experience with underage drinking, and I think I had a little too much. I got very bad alcohol poisoning.
You think you had a little too much? Oh my goodness. The one and only time.
I drank. I got very bad alcohol poisoning, and I threw up like 3 times, and I got really sick. I think I passed out. I don't even remember. And that morning
there also was nothing to her. She wasn't weighing anything.
I hadn't
and she
eaten
hadn't
for
eaten
like
anything.
2 days because I wanted to look good in my homecoming outfit, which I also got a lot of attention for, so that's why it was also really hard. And then that morning I woke up, and I think it was within the next few days that I came up to you guys and was like, I'm ready to get help, because like I almost killed myself by like wanting to look good, and I think at that point I was about 73% of what my body weight should have been. So the school took me out of my gym class because they didn't think it was safe for me to be in there, and I had a hard time just like standing up for 5 minutes because I would like get dizzy and I would just like fall over. So that's the point where I found out like I don't need to do this. Like, this is not right. If I'm this out of control, then it's not worth it.
Wow. Yeah. You're so beautiful.
Thank
I'm
you.
so glad you looked for help.
I knew that Anais was anorexic. I mean, I've had conversations with her and we've talked about her weight. I told her that I'm concerned, and I tried to get her to eat extra food and all those kind of things. And I think she needed it to hear from somebody else. It's like, yes, she trusts me. Yes, we have a really good relationship, but I'm her mother, right? So coming from me, it's like, well, you're looking at me through mom eyes.
You have to say that. Like, you're my mom.
Right, and so when her school counselor approached her and said, Anais, I'm really concerned about you, I think that's when she was really able to hear it. And of course I would never shame her about it. I mean, I'm really trying to do the absolute opposite. And I am also not a helicopter mom, so I'm empowering her to make her own good choices. And I was really proud of her that she chose to go into treatment, you know, for 7 weeks, because she was the only girl that was not committed. She admitted, you know, against their will. She was the only girl who was there on her own.
I was committed.
Right. She was totally committed to herself, but she was there on her own free will. Everybody else was put there by their parents, right? And so I think there's something when you're choosing to invest in yourself and you're choosing to get healthy, that's way more powerful than being put somewhere and you're resisting. You're not there for yourself. You're in resistance the whole time, right? And so from that regard, it was really important for me that she knows that no matter what she decides, I'm behind her. You know, she's open, she's sharing what's going on, and to me, I take the cue from her. I will completely respect what Anais' wishes are. It's not that I don't want to talk about it because I'm embarrassed. I'm so not embarrassed. I'm super proud of her. But it took her a while to be able to talk about it and to have it out in the open, and so I respect that.
To give her space.
Yeah, I love talking about it. I think it's important to have these conversations because I really tried to do everything right. I mean, there was no messages in my house that it's important to be sexy, to be skinny, to be all those things, and she still dealt with that. I was anorexic. I didn't tell her that I was anorexic until she was in treatment because I did not want to repeat that pattern, you know, and so it's interesting how it repeated itself anyway.
My message would be that if you have an eating disorder, if you're trying to be someone you're not, to be friends with people or so people will like you, then obviously if they feel that's what you need to do, then they're not real friends. Then they're not the people you should be spending your time with, because real friends will accept you just the way you are. And I realized that after I had gone through everything, I thought my friends just liked me because I was skinny, because that's what I got attention for. But I realized it was so much more than that. Like, every person has a personality and people like you for that. So if your friends say, oh, you need to do this, you need to look like this, like, they're not real friends. They're not there for you, and they're not going to be there for you in the long run. And if you do ever feel uncomfortable, like, reach out. Don't be embarrassed to talk to people, because I was so scared, and once I started talking about it, I realized it's not normal to do what I was doing. So if you do ever feel unsafe or worried about your health, like, you need to talk to someone, you need to tell someone, if it's a parent or if it's a friend, because you'll understand, like, what the real way to be yourself is, and that you don't need to pretend to be something you're not.